These are perhaps the most iconic isopods available in the hobby, and today we're making a dream home for some dream isopods. This is the Rubber Ducky Isopod. They are a species that belong to the Cubaris genus and are native to limestone caves in Thailand. They are newly discovered to the isopod keeping hobby and are found in decaying leaf and mud matter in humid tropical rainforests. I wanted these isopods for so long, and when I got them, I just knew that I needed to make a habitat that was worthy of such an amazing animal. I want to create an environment that mimics their natural habitat as much as possible, but I also want to draw inspiration from my homeland, integrating the feel and spirit of the Celtic forests. But straight away, when coming up with designs, I hit a wall, and that was the price. Rubber duckies were already expensive, and now I'm potentially looking at hundreds more to get a new tank and all the scaping supplies. And with everything going on in my life at the moment, I just can't justify that spend even if I did have the money. So I gave up. The rubber duckies went into clear containers and just sat on my shelves for weeks. But recently I found a wavy inspiration thanks to an aquascaper named Hiroshi Kitahara. He was a rising artist at the same time as the legendary Takashi Amano, but whereas Amano was mimicking nature in a very clean and aesthetic way, Kitahara was embracing the rawness and chaos of nature, collecting his materials from the wild and letting his scapes develop relatively untamed. I knew this was the route I wanted to take, so I went to the woods. There were a few key elements I needed: some wood, rocks and moss. I also want to include plants, but I can easily take some cuttings from plants I already have. Now that I have these elements, I need to think about the container that I'm going to use. I only have a handful of rubber duckies, so I don't want anything too big, and this acrylic fish breeding box should be perfect for it. So it was time to get started on the background. It felt quite disrespectful to use foam on this nature-inspired build, so I mixed up some air-dry clay and used it to build out a general shape. I then added some accent pieces and moss to round it off. With the background now scaped and dry, it was time to start thinking about my substrate. So I started by adding a drainage layer. I put in some pea gravel, then I cut out a square of weed-proof fabric, lay that on top, so I could lay the substrate on to stop it falling into the gravel and getting all mixed up. For the substrate, I mixed up some organic topsoil, sand, sphagnum, leaf litter and rotten wood. There's one other important thing to consider when housing rubber ducky isopods, and that's the environment they live in. They come from limestone caves, so that lime needs to be supplemented into their enclosure somewhere. When housing isopods, it's important this substrate is of good quality, as it makes up a good deal of your little slater's diet. I decided I wanted to have a central rock as a bit of a focal point in this design, so after choosing my ideal centrepiece, I set it in a way to best show off its natural features. I then added some small ferns around the outside to help break up that texture a little bit, and added some layers of moss to the scape. I added some wood pieces, and now it's time for the plants. I knew I wanted some extra colour, so I added this Fittonia, which I know thrive in this setup. I also wanted to vary the texture a little, and string of turtles are perfect for what I'm trying to achieve here. But I wouldn't embody the Celtic forest without those ferns sitting in the back to finish it off. To then just solidify that design, I sprinkled some leaf litter around the enclosure. And now it's time for the most satisfying part of this whole process: adding the rubber duckies. In order to finish off this bioactive build, I decided to give these little guys a cleanup crew of their own, and what better than orange springtails? I'm really looking forward to seeing how this project develops, and if you want to follow along on this journey, please consider leaving a like and subscribing. It would mean a lot as I'm trying to get this channel off the ground. So until next time, cheerio and rasta.